So the big question is this: what is life like on tour when you're playing professional golf? Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's tough. That's the question, and this is the podcast that's going to give you the answer. Welcome to Tales of the Tour on Stock Shot Secrets. All right, we are back for another episode of Tales of the Tour with my beloved wife, Les. How are you doing today, babe?
Good.
Yep. So we are in 2012.
13.
Getting ready to go to 13. But in 12, that December, that was that picture that I just showed, the famous picture of walking up Stock Shot Mountain.
Oh, yeah. Wait.
Right, where I'm holding my cones and noodles and everything walking out, and you're like, oh my gosh, who is this? Who is
I
this?
don't think you can see it. It's just Kyle with all of his 22 training aids. Nerd alert.
But my swing changed. That looks like a guy who's trying to get better. You can't fix a car without tools.
Yeah.
So after we do that, so now we're going to get ready. The best tournament of the year always to go to, like for these Monday qualifiers, I was actually just telling a tour player this the other day who's trying to make it. I was like, the events that are expensive and hard to get to, the qualifiers, those are the ones you want to go to because you don't have to shoot anything crazy. So we go to Hawaii. Right? And now we
did not know what we were having.
Right.
We didn't know if we were having a boy or girl. So we had the technician, I don't know when they do this ultrasound technician wrote down in a card what the gender of our babe was.
Yep. So we go to Hawaii. We schedule our dinner.
And it was terrible weather. I have these pictures of all the horrible weather.
Yep.
And we're back at Turtle Bay.
It seemed like every time we went to Hawaii, it was never that
we went
great.
In January. There were some nice days. I remember we actually went, there were some nice days here. We went snorkeling in Hanuma Bay. I don't really recall. Anyways, so we planned a nice little dinner. We're up back at Turtle Bay.
Yep.
How did you play in this tournament?
That one, I mean,
you didn't make.
I didn't make it.
You didn't make it. Okay, so we have a nice little dinner planned at this little restaurant on the beach at Turtle Bay. Beautiful. Yeah. And do you remember who was there?
Oh yeah,
the celebrity, Anderson Cooper.
Yep, walked right next.
Sitting down for dinner right behind us. I was like, oh my gosh. But we took an envelope with us that had the gender. That's the envelope right there. It says Baby Morris with a question mark. The results are in. And we took the envelope and we had a nice little dinner. And I love all of our children, but I really wanted a boy first.
Yeah.
Just because I grew up and I thought to myself, if we ever have little girls, then they'll have a older big brother. Because
it's always better if they can get protected by the boy.
Yes. I grew up with an older brother. I was such a tomboy, but I hung out with him.
I had two older sisters, but see how that turned out.
And Jared and I are fairly close. We're only like 18, 19 months apart.
Right.
So I just always loved having an older brother hanging out, being the obnoxious little sister. I mean, our summer times were just me tagging along with him.
Right.
So I really wanted a boy. And I remember we were having dinner and you have the envelope and I was too nervous to open it. So you opened it and you said, you kind of went through kind of like how we've been super blessed our entire life, and you're like, this is just one more of your kind of wishes that have come true. And then you said it was a boy, and I remember we were so excited.
Yeah,
so
amazing.
Excited. So then we called all of our family, told them that we were having a little Adler, little baby boy.
And then being pregnant, we go back home, pack up the car, and drive to Tallahassee.
I'm not sure we drove to Tallahassee. Oh, we did, because I took my sewing machine with us.
Right.
At this point, I had become an avid sewer, quilting, because Courtney Strillman got me started on quilting.
Yeah.
And when my grandma passed away, she left her sewing machine to me. And I started sewing on her sewing machine. But then I bought a smaller sewing machine so I could travel with it.
Yeah. So we go to Tallahassee. We're staying in this family. Do you remember the family we stayed with?
I remember the family that we stayed with.
We pull in. We stay in this house.
This is at Killearn.
Killearn Country Club. I do not remember their name, but I remember we go to bed on Tuesday morning or Tuesday night, whatever. And I wake up at about 3:30 in the morning.
That's like literally what it sounds like.
And we're like, what?
We got a 502.
We're like, what is going on? And we look down, and it's 3 in the morning.
Because basically from where our bedroom was, you could look down into the great room, and then you could kind of see into the kitchen.
And the guy
There's
is,
multiple noise coming from the kitchen.
Yes.
There's this, and there's also quack, quack. I want cracker.
because he is sitting there at 3 a.m. listening to police scans of what is happening, and he's already gone to bed and waking up.
He's a retired like sheriff or
Something.
cop or something like that.
Yeah.
So he just sits there in his spare time and listens to the scanner.
While the parrot talks. Yeah.
Probably want a cracker.
And it was like, and he would listen to it at full volume, and it was like, oh my gosh! And you're so grateful because they're opening up their house, and like we have a free bed to stay in, and blah blah blah. But it's like, goodness, man, like it's 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Like I have to work tomorrow, but I mean, I've never known anybody to ever listen to police scanners. Maybe that's a thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe we're missing out.
Maybe we should be listening to police scanners.
I would think that would be something.
I don't think there's a whole lot going on in Dublin, Ohio.
I think that'd be something you'd be into, though.
I would totally be into that, but
that's
those apps that I have, like Pulse on my phone and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that.
Next door. What's that other one called? What's?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I forget what it is. I took that one off. Pulse points where it's at. Got to make sure the neighborhood's safe.
Yeah, so aside from the parrot talking and the police scanner, this was the one where Robert comes up to us on hole 2.
This was a really rainy tournament, and by this time you have Cedric caddying for you.
Yep,
Cedric is like your full-time caddy because I'm pregnant and I'm not doing it anymore.
He's fully on the bag, and this is just which is already shown because the last time you had caddied really was in Mount Vintage, where you chewed out a player behind me for ride or die.
Don't mess with my husband.
And Robert comes up to us and he goes, Lesley. And Robert's the rules official. He's like, Lesley, you're a real firecracker, aren't you, Lesley? We're like, yeah, Robert. You're a little firecracker.
Listen, if you came after my husband, I was going to come for you. So that's why I was a firecracker.
Yeah.
But like we said before, we got to know the rules officials pretty well.
Well, I'd beg him to come play or come watch because if I was on the clock, I made birdies.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, I hope you are enjoying this episode of the Stock Shot Secrets podcast. If you are enjoying it, be sure to like this episode. Be sure to subscribe so you can always see when they're coming out. And most importantly, if you would be so kind to be able to share this podcast with other passionate golfers who are trying to get better and build stock shots because it grows through you sharing it. Thank you so much for tuning in. And now back to Stock Shot Secrets. So I'd say, hey, Robert, you should come watch, right?
Yeah.
I need to make a couple birdies. But real firecracker.
And there's another story.
At Tallahassee?
Like that. Nope, coming up. So we went through.
Oh,
See, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Kyle, his blogs are starting to fade off. Your calendar is starting to fade off.
Yep.
And now we're just kind of relying on my old Instagram of pictures to spark our memories. Yeah. But after that, looks like we head to Seattle. Or no, I'm sorry. We're traveling throughout
the East.
The East, and now we head to Tifton, Georgia.
Where is Tifton, Georgia?
Tifton, Georgia is in Tifton, Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
It's a small town in Tifton, Georgia. It's not on here where you played. It just shows, it looks like...
Because obviously I played pretty good, though, if there's a picture of a news article.
Yeah, I have a picture of a news article, and it shows the scoreboard.
It's just not a very
huge
clear
day
one.
for sports in Tift County.
Ooh.
So if you're in Tifton, Georgia, we played at that course there. I don't recall what the course was, and I don't have
it. It was Tifton Golf Course.
Oh, got it.
And it's there because it's there.
Yeah. I was doing a lot of sewing at this time. I was making burp cloths because I'm pregnant now and not caddying, still feeling pretty crappy. So I'm not really on the course. So I have really nothing to do during the day. But
now we think that it's like, okay, now I got to start I want to try to expand. Because there was a time there where we were really, really serious back in the day, which probably looking back, I don't know if we should have done it, but we were really close to going to Asia and trying to do Asian
Yes,
Q
I feel
school.
like there's a lot of chatter about Asia here.
I feel like
because Claire and Jay Moore were there.
Yeah, we were going to do it the year before, too.
Yes, and I was now pregnant and was like, I don't think that's going to work out.
We probably should have. We probably missed the boat on that one.
Yeah, they had a good time.
But anyways.
I have a picture of Unadilla, Georgia. We were in Unadilla, Georgia. I don't know, but...
You can tell it's Unadilla because of the way it is.
Yes, because it says Unadilla.
Yeah. So anyway, so we do make the decision to go to Canadian Q school.
Canadian Q school. So yeah, we decided not to do Asian.
Yeah, so Asia. I go to... Cedric can't come. We go back home because you have Canadian Q school in May. And this was one of the worst.
This is April.
Caddy experiences.
Oh my gosh, this guy
I've ever had in my life.
So rude.
We go play. I'm not going to use his name.
I don't even remember his
I
name.
do. And I'm like, hey, I need to find a caddy. So I'm like, I don't want to have just a caddy. Like, I need to have a PGA Tour caliber caddy. So I call a guy.
And a lot of caddies, they get to these tournaments and Q Score and just are hanging out in the parking lot.
But he was caddying in the LPGA Tour event down the street in La Quinta. Or not La Quinta, in Palm Springs.
Okay,
So he had came over from that event and started caddying
But
for me.
a lot of guys will hang just in the parking lot trying to pick up a job too.
Yeah, and this
sleeping in their cars.
and caddies are kind of interesting because they're like marriages in the fact that you need to make sure that like people understand their roles and responsibilities. How should you communicate? Like there's a way. Some people want to be over caddied. Some people want to be under caddied. Like with you, it was obviously like, hey man, just make me laugh and talk and give me Safe by the Bell. Keep me Safe by the Bell trivia.
Yeah.
I don't need you to give me advice. I'll do all that stuff, which is usually kind of the way I like it as a player. He was a little bit different to where.
Did you play a practice round with him?
Yeah, and we tried to establish it, but like it just wasn't happening. And this guy was the ultimate micromanager. Mm-hmm. And I remember going. It was the first round or second round. The first round I played all right. I shot like 70 or 69 or so, and played okay. It was at 2 courses. I forget the name of the course. I played so many tournaments there too.
I have a picture of it.
But,
look at that beautiful picture of the mountains.
Yeah.
I don't know what that. I don't
and
know what
the second day he continues on this. He already had done some stuff where he was like showing up late, and he showed up right before he played, and like it was already like, man, this is not going really well. This is not going to work out. And it's a really important week for us, right? Because it's not PGA Tour Q School, but it pays the way for the next 12 months.
Were we staying with that couple?
Yeah, Randy
and Lesley.
Yeah. And I remember he basically backed me into a corner, and we started arguing on like
on the course
14th hole of whether I should hit a 2-iron or a driver and all this stuff. And I end up doing what he said, and it backfires, and like blah 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 blah. And I remember going, and then I remember being on that. We played on the back side, and that was hole like 5, and then 6, 7, or 8. I was like, man, am I really gonna like deal with this for the next 2.5 days? Like, and I am not. I don't think I'm a jerk off. Like, I'm a pretty nice guy, but I was like, I don't think that this is gonna work out. So at the 9th hole, we get off the green. We walk up to the pro shop to go up to the first hole. You're pregnant and pissed. And I'm like, hey, man, I don't think this is going to work out. I'm going to go at it alone from here on out. And he was like, what? And he starts to get super aggressive, and then kind of gets aggressive at you a little bit.
Well, I stepped in. I was like, he's literally in the middle of Q School. Grow up. Knock it off. Get out of here. Right. You're done. I'll send you a check in the mail. Yeah.
And you guys kind of get into it. We all get into it in the parking lot for a minute, and then I go play.
Yeah.
I think I played all right, but I got conditional status on the Canadian.
I remember the next day he apologized to me, and I was like, okay. Yeah, but like that was so unprofessional in the middle of his round.
Well, to the point, I should probably, I'm firing a guy in the middle of the round, but it's like this, it just was not.
It could have spiraled. It could have snowballed.
And I remember saying like, hey, like, if there's something against you personally, we're just not a good match.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. I remember distinctly saying like, you might be married to my wife and it might not be a good match just because your two guys aren't compatible. Like, that was the analogy I remember using.
But the fact he kept arguing, and it was like, we're done.
Yeah.
You're done.
You're done.
You're done. And he just could not accept it. And it was like, I remember you walked off, and I was like, just stop. Yeah. It's done.
Right.
Stop.
So that was a tough situation, but that's kind of the way, on tour, like you've got caddies that you have to make sure that you're meshing well with. And my always take is like either have a caddy who is like amazing and knows a ton and can help a bunch, or caddy someone who is oblivious
and
knows nothing.
Why wasn't Cedric?
I don't know. I think I probably just couldn't afford to fly him out, to be honest, because he lived in Florida.
Okay.
So, but onward and forward. And here we are.
So you got conditional status.
Yeah. And I think was that the year I went up there, maybe?
This is 2013,
Yeah,
April 2013.
So
you started traveling through there.
Yeah. So we'll pick it up from there, and then that's where we can break with kind of a tough story.
Well, the baby's on the way in 3 months.
The baby's on the way. Here he comes, which is an interesting story in itself.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope to see you guys back here for another episode of Tales of the Tour, and we'll see you back here soon. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to the latest episode of the Stock Shot Secrets. Now, I want to give you a special opportunity where you and I can chat individually by just simply texting the following number, and you can ask any question under the sun about anything relative to your game or your skill, body, mind, whatever it is. So just text me at 614-541-1988. That's 614-541-1988. Subscribe to our text line, and then you can be in the special Stock Shot community where we can talk about everything under the sun regarding stock shots.